Okay, I am going to call the meeting to order. A roll call, please.
Trustee Borowski.
Here.
Trustee Brickmeyer. Here. Trustee Michaud. Trustee O'Connor. Present. Trustee O'Reilly. Here. Trustee Tucci.
Here.
Village President Jacob.
I am here. Okay, I'll rise for a pledge of I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone to this meeting or committee of the whole. Cow is what somebody's been calling it. I don't know that I want to call it that, but welcome everyone. Thank you, Greg, for that. This meeting is to discuss the proposed Village Hall expansion and our engagement with Wold Architects. I know that we probably want to go a lot of places, but I did do one thing I thought might help us out was I put a 2-slide PowerPoint presentation together just to show our current footprint and what the current version of the plan that we have in front of us. And I know we're probably going to go a lot of different places, but I thought that'd be a good place to start. Would that help people? Yes. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me share my screen. Where's share? Where am I missing? There it is, share right in the middle. And hopefully this works. And maybe we'll move these things around. What I did was I found this, and I just want to get how do I shrink the people around here? I'm going to get rid of minus. Okay, so I'll get rid of that, and then we got the dashboard. So let me go back up. All right. So this is a diagram that was provided to us on an early meeting that I think is really helpful because what it talks about is what is our current footprint in this Village Hall, this chamber and the old historic building, and then the attic upstairs, offices upstairs. And so what I found interesting was that this whole area here is 1,411 square feet, this downstairs area. The second floor area is 509 square feet. I came in here over the weekend on Sunday, and I measured the Village Hall. I have it 29 feet from this wall to that wall, and then 23 feet, this way, so 667 feet. But if you look at this diagram, it's a little bit hard to see. When they laser measured it, they said the boardroom was 544, and then the lobby was like 182, which kind of goes back to the door there. But I wanted to provide this contrast because, one of the questions that was unanswered was, how much more space are we getting, right, when we do this? So is this clear of what we have right now from just the square footage space and how it's laid out? Does that make sense? Sure.
That's really good. Yep.
So now we know what we have, and then I thought the next thing would be to do, okay, so we had a proposal, it was revised, and how does that fit into this? So then I did this, let me click here. So this gets a little harder to see, but it's the diagram you have in your board packet. What they're talking about is the addition of this area here, which is 2,850 square feet, and it's this building that we would add on to our existing hall that's, right here, right? This is the current chamber and everything else right there. So it's an addition of 2,850 square feet. The new hall chamber that they're proposing is about 1,200 square feet. Compare that to whatever the math is, 667 square feet of what we have here. So it's maybe not quite double, close to double, depends on how you do the math. The other thing is we would lose the second floor. So we gain 2,800 square feet, but then we lose 509 square feet, maybe, because the attic wouldn't be, Greg's office is, we wouldn't be necessarily using anymore. We might use it for a computer room, or maybe it could be used if we ran out of space up there. I note also that this area here is pretty large, and so even though it shows only 4 desks, I mean, if you have 600 square feet or more, you certainly can get more than 4 desks here, right? You can 6 or whatever, plus you're adding 2 more offices on. So I just wanted to start with this because I think this is where we got hung up at the last meeting, where we didn't have a visual or understanding of what do we have, what's being proposed, and I know there's a whole other different areas that we want to go down, but I thought this might be helpful. And then, you know, the estimated construction cost was $1.1 million with a total project cost of $1.4, and there was a whole bunch of options too that could change that, but basically to add this 2,800 square feet on. So I'll stop there, but I thought this would be a great place to at least get us going and figure out, what should we do here? So.
Is there a basement under the?
No, this was just a slab here is what it was, yeah. Well, I think there was a question about even is it really, and Jeff, is it really even feasible or makes sense, right? So, because of the water table, yeah. So.
We have a really high water table here, I wouldn't put one in here where we are, really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Basement not recommended because of where the water table is.
Yes, right, don't put words in my mouth, I want an engineer to say that. Yep. So.
Yeah, a fast question. You talked about storage. Would it be possible to have a staircase that goes up somewhere on the outside wall to an attic?
Well, there was another issue.
Storage of both.
Yeah, there was another interesting concern that I remember from the meeting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's a roof line issue of not wanting to make it too tall so it doesn't collect snow between the two buildings and put pressure on this building. So it's possible, but we'd have to ask the architect of where, is there a spot we could do it, right? Maybe it is further away, but not next to this.
Right, we were dissuaded from making the roof higher on the new building than it is on the existing building for the reasons you just stated.
Yeah, makes sense.
So snow drifting and stuff like that, so.
And your question is because you're concerned about having extra storage options?
Well, we talked about several things. One was storage, and the second one was if we convert it to a hard drive.
Digitized files.
Exactly. We don't need to put all that paper somewhere, so.
And that is the long-term solution.
Yeah.
Question on the upstairs remains the construction and will there have to be any reinforcement? That was something they kind of hinted to when we first started talking, but we've got no confirmation on that yet.
It was just a question.
No, I'm concerned that we will run into something like asbestos or something that we're not planning for.
Mhm.
We should plan for a worst case.
So I can pull this down right now. I just thought that this was a good way to just kind of explain what we have, what's currently on the table.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
And then we can go wherever, and I'll pull this down if
So
everyone's okay with that, or if you want me to leave it up, I can.
Yeah, please.
Leave it up? Yep.
the next thing I'd like to do is talk about what are the must-haves. We have a lot of ideas, we can do this, we can do that, we can do the other thing. What must we have? So last time I said the 2 must-haves are a suitable workspace for staff and a suitable meeting space for us and the public, whatever that means.
And appropriate bathrooms? Or
Exactly, thank you, I forgot about that.
accessible.
Yes, I forgot about those.
Yeah, so the, I don't know if, I'm not supposed to answer the question, but you have new bathrooms here, you got a staff bathroom here, you've got 2 new offices, here, you have at least 6 places for desks here, you have a conference room that could be used as an office here, and then you have another conference room back here that's new. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's really for the board to decide. I just was trying to
I think the question was what must have, and you don't get to answer that.
Yeah. Yeah, but just trying to describe what we got here, right, but I mean,
And I'm hoping that helps us focus our discussions,
Mhm.
instead of just making this giant wish list. It'd be great to have this, it'd be great to have that.
Right.
Well, yeah, it would be great, but what must we have?
I think, if I can offer from the staff's perspective and discussions and what we think you need, and the statements I hear from staff as they work every day is, get a little bit of room, a little bit of space so you can appropriately work and people are not on top of each other. I agree with the village president that this room can definitely accommodate 6 workstations. We've got 2 in there, almost 2.5, and I think it can accommodate 6 and allow us some room for filing.
Yeah.
The digitizing's the way to go. That's gonna take us where we need to be as far as document retention. And, the bathrooms, I certainly believe that we don't know for sure how village board meetings or committee and commission meetings are going to take place in the future, but all indications are that the hybrid via the electronic method, is being more and more embraced. At least that's what we're hearing from IML and other players. So to be able to properly have, or to have proper video and sound in that boardroom, I think will be a necessity going forward. So I think that's important. The one conference room, we meet all the time on things that are, you know, day-to-day operational, issues with vendors, with partners, with developers, people coming in for permits that want to have some discussions. So I think that conference room, which can serve as a multi-purpose room, where Margarita's currently at now, is positive for us. You know, the small room that's going to be sitting here, that they call small conference room, trustees and the village president to have meetings when appropriate, I don't think we have anything elaborate here whatsoever.
Right.
Am I interrupting?
Not at all.
So if the trend is toward more off-site meetings, which makes sense to me, do we therefore need 60 chairs? And I know that's just could be church views for all I care, but we barely get 6 keisters out here on a regular basis. So do we need that much space devoted to that use?
I would say, if you're looking at things right now, but I think if you're anticipating that this is gonna be the village hall for the foreseeable future, you don't know what conditions can change. I think the opportunities to have trainings, I mean, Mundelein they do trainings in their, council chamber from time to time, because you got, bigger groups of people. I think the village board being that size is important too. I mean, we have, this body has had, hearings, and meetings on issues that packed them in, from what I understand. And, those issues will come up without notice, and, it's, if we take the issue of just recently the Range USA, what that potential for the boardroom would have been, things of that nature, so.
And typically when we had those, whatever the discussion was, where it was gonna be a crowd, we got the use of the school, or, we always had, but and is that pound wise and penny foolish, or?
What are the must-haves?
That's what you just ticked on.
No, what other must-haves? We've talked also about, LEED certification. Is that a nice or a must?
Must.
For the new park? Yeah. Because we're not gonna we can't retrofit the back, right?
Right. Solar, we're gonna have solar or not, I don't know, maybe that's a small question, not a big question. For me, I have a bigger picture view, because I feel like architects know much more about sizes and work areas and elbow room than I do. I would really, for me, a top priority is that this is a really nice place for staff to come to 5 days out of the week. I want it light, I want it bright, I want it where they feel like, this is nice. you know, the sun pours in if they wanted to, you know, skylights, all for it. And something that when the public comes in, it's welcoming as well as, we're on top of it. I would like it to say that, from externally as well as internally. And then I think one of the problems we may have here, Jeff and I were talking about this, we don't have any elevation sketches. It's hard to picture.
Sure.
The interior is gonna complement the exterior and vice versa, I would suspicion. You know, but it's like if you can't visualize it, what's the roof line gonna look like? You know,
But I don't think it's an architect.
say it
I
again.
think everybody else should go around on like what the must-haves, because we've also had some other questions about actual space,
Yeah,
floor plan, and I wouldn't wanna go pay money to an architect to run an elevation until we kind of selected one.
but I hear what you're saying. I think they go hand in hand.
I thought we were gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, I mean, I think,
I thought we were gonna try to make decisions today,
yep.
so
Yeah.
that we don't keep chewing on it.
So you're saying it's hard, I mean, Rita's saying that it's hard for her to,
Yeah.
comprehend what it's gonna look like, you know, without having some elevations, but in order to get there, you probably have to hire an architect to draw some of that stuff out, right?
Well,
The thought process is you would kind of follow some of the architecture that we have here over there,
or.
and it'd be
or
white.
Are we or aren't we? Is it gonna look like a nice barn? Is it gonna look like something a little more contemporary? Not industrial warehouse kind of contemporary, but, the eye buys.
Yeah, but I think that's the kind of stuff that once we agree on, I mean, I thought it was a great question, Kent, about, what are the must-haves, the architecture would fall in place, right?
But isn't Wold an architectural firm?
Yeah. But we gotta give them some guidance before we start, you know, 'cause
Yeah,
that was the next step, is getting an architect to start involved to draw this out, right? They just gave us a initial floor plan, yeah,
and that's fine.
yeah.
That's fine. I would, you know, typically you get one with the other, you know? 'Cause when I stand out there and I look, you know, it's like, should it be 2 stories? Could it be 2 stories? Story and a half? I don't
We
know.
were told not, but,
I understand,
yeah.
but it could be a story and a half for aesthetics.
right,
It's just, I think,
But I think we have to come up with a punch list, right?
yeah, I got it.
We have to, so,
It's like building a house. You have to do the foundation, and then you have to do the what I need, what I want, what I compromise on, and then you come to the what is it gonna look like? You can't do the what are you gonna look like until you know what you're gonna put in it. So one goes, it's a cart and horse. Is the cart gonna push the horse, or is the horse gonna pull the cart? I'd like to see us know what we need, and what are those things that we have to have, and what could be reasonable that we want to have. I still go back to the lunchroom, and where is it, and can we do better than what we have? That would be in my nice to have, if reasonable.
how would you describe that? A lunchroom where the staff can sit down as well as prepare, or?
Yeah, but perhaps mostly.
Okay.
Isn't that in the kitchenette area, or?
No, what we had discussed was the, conference room in the back serving as a multi-purpose room, where you could prep, lunch, and if you wanted to sit in the conference room if there weren't any meetings.
it does say kitchenette there, though.
Yeah, 'cause we talked about
That's
like
different.
a microwave.
That's right, that's that counter right here where we pick up our packages, that's what they're calling a kitchenette.
Oh, just that.
Is that where the coffee machines, the tea machines, the refrigerator,
The
that's
microwave.
all gonna be in that?
Well, that's what they saw it as, I don't think it's feasible for us.
Yeah, I don't think.
You mean that little area?
Whoa,
That,
Yeah.
that
That little area would
that's
have,
a kitchenette?
That's what they saw it as, using the existing
so
space.
they tuck a little bar fridge underneath and stick a microwave somewhere next to a window?
And I thought doing it in the multipurpose room or the conference room was a better place.
Well, I would agree with Bobby, maybe they can try and find a configuration that has a little more.
Yeah, I don't really like that dual purpose of having a meeting room with,
Microwave sitting.
yeah, yeah. But, pardon me, hold on, guys, I'll be just a minute,
Or somebody.
yeah.
Fireplace, maybe.
I've seen it done that way.
That's my favorite, yes.
I think it's a great idea, Bobby, and when we went to, Deer Park, right, we saw, they had a nice lunchroom area. That was one of the nice things they had, so.
Well, being unreasonable, I'm being unreasonable.
But even the title company.
Excuse me, can I finish?
Yeah.
But you're right.
Is pull the kitchenette wall out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's probably very unreasonable. But it might not.
Yeah. Then you have a historic building, can you do that, right? So,
Say that
yeah.
again in a different way. When you say pull the wall out.
Move the wall out.
I won't,
Where it's got the little indent there.
yeah.
So
I
why
see.
do you want any kitchenette right across from a bathroom?
Well,
Goes in one side, comes out the other, okay? You're welcome.
That's a great,
even moving the closet around to the kitchenette, moving that closet around to the kitchenette.
Yeah.
Just thought,
But if we put that on the list, then that can be something the architect can fuss around.
well, I don't know that I want to pay them yet.
I agree.
You know, I want to see what the list comes out to be, and
Yeah.
is it reasonable?
But, I mean, we have two small conference rooms, right? Couldn't one of those, do we need two? Couldn't one of the small conference rooms turn into a,
Could be, yeah.
like a staff dining and, or do you see a time when you would need both at one time?
Both conference rooms?
Yeah, the small.
I would tell you it's not likely.
And then you've also got your office, if you wanted a meeting with a couple trustees, and you've also got the big conference area, you have multiple options.
Would the, should your office be larger to accommodate like a four-person meeting?
It was, and then we shrunk it.
Yeah, for cost, we could shrink,
I had no questions with the old one, so I'm asking back again.
Is there plumbing down that way or not? Is anybody,
Down which way, Chris, I'm sorry?
or that small conference room? The issue that there's no plumbing there now, you don't have any water?
The only water we have is that bathroom right there.
but, well, the good news, there's a basement under that area, a small, short basement, so you could actually run stuff there. Yeah.
Here's a crawl space there.
Yeah, crawl space, basement, crawl, whatever you wanna call it, yeah, it's, can't stand up on it.
Not flat.
Yeah.
is there no use for two conference rooms at the same time, or do you just schedule things because you don't have it?
We just schedule things because we don't have it. Have there been times where we've had two conferences go, back to back? Yes. Where all of a sudden a party will come in and they're ready for another meeting, and then we'll try to relocate, somewhere else, so. But it's not I guess, it's not a regular occurrence.
You'd still have the board chamber though, for a meeting too.
Yeah.
That wouldn't go away if done right, so.
Or it's designed in a way that it's a permanent coffee room, lunchroom, but behind cupboards,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can theoretically still have a meeting there on those odd times when you need both.
Maybe the best spot is somewhere where the workstations are. Like at the title company, you know, where it's like toward the back of the building and, but yet it's useful.
Not following why you think where the workstations are with
Well,
the
that's-
kitchen.
Behind doors, you know, where you've got a sink, a microwave, cabinetry, fridge, a little fridge,
Hiding it.
yeah. It's there for their use. Heat stuff up, you know, obviously.
But overall, I think it's something that should be part of this building.
Right.
If not only for the employees, also for, meetings. Be able to pull out a coffee pot and that kind of thing.
Make pizza, like you.
As a side to that,
But then on the other hand, that workstation area, if you're on the phone with somebody and somebody's got the microwave going, that's probably not too cool.
I would
No.
not.
Or the blender.
Yeah, I would not do it.
I'm not doing
I wouldn't give up
workstation
that
area.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want that to be an area where people can do their work as well as if they need to jump over the thing and collaborate, not have to walk over.
I can't think of unless I was going out to meet somebody, I can't think of the times that I have not just eaten at my desk. And, staff needs to be able to get away from their desk. They need to be able to pick up and walk even into another room. I mean, especially with inclement weather, where are they gonna go? You know, they just need to be able to get away and have some kind of escape for whatever period.
So could that courtyard be pushed out somewhere in that courtyard area?
Rita, are you trying to say no to a dual-purpose small conference room?
Like one of these here?
You mean a kitchenette and a conference room?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought I heard Bobby say,
That's
and I thought
where
I
I
heard
am.
Jenny say yes.
I'm in the small conference room.
The other option, and Chris brought it up, the storage area that's attached to the boardroom, you had said making that like a counter that you could serve coffee or something. Did you say that, Chris?
Yeah, but I thought the architect came back last meeting, or Kent did, or somebody, and said, man, nobody ever used those, and this is a better way. So I don't know why that was dismissed, but.
The architect, to your point, the architect said that, when they've tried to develop projects like this, it's often asked for the partitions, the folding partitions. He says that it does have an impact on the cost, and that the entities who have chosen to, put those in, find that they don't use them as often as they probably initially thought they would.
That's slightly different though, if that storage room, if you put, well, perhaps there's a way to do the kitchenette on that bottom right wall, because that's where all your plumbing's going in anyway.
Yeah, well, I work at the Ela Township in their board meetings for the elections, and they have their board meeting, and to the back right, they have a countertop, which I think you can pull something down, but if there's a counter, but behind that, there's a kitchen. And they have a microwave, and actually, I think the staff sit in the boardroom and eat a lot of the time, but,
Is it like a little fridge or a regular
no,
size
it's a
fridge?
regular fridge, and it's got a nice microwave, and it's got a sink.
It's where we have our
But
board
then-
meetings for the chamber, which is a nice setup.
Right, and then, like, for when I work with homes there, they can open it up, and they have snacks for the staff there, and you can set coffee out and treats, so, that's just another idea. And you've got the food,
Get a dishwasher?
too, actually.
You can get those drawer dishwashers, those, Fisher Paykel jobbies,
Yeah.
Well, one addition I personally think is that the storage room should have an outdoor, a window. For some time in the future, if that needs to be an office of some sort, that there should be a window put in the beginning.
Well, it seems like we're tearing apart the floor plan again, which I don't know if that was the ask. So I'll start with my ask first, and then I'll tear the floor plan apart.
There you go.
A reuse issue and Sharps collection, I'm not sure where we would put those bins. I wanted those accessible to the public and yet secure, so I'm not sure in this layout where that would fit. Or we decide we don't wanna do any of that, so. Reuse the shoe is a big box that basically needs somebody to watch it, to remind people to put the shoes together, basically. But the Sharps collection is one of those big waste management type toter dumpster things that you have in your driveway.
Really? It's that big? I thought it was like a mailbox size.
They're bigger than that because if they get filled up, you don't want somebody carrying them there to
sure.
wheels and people can roll them around.
They didn't do the outside layout on this, but we were in the meeting, one of the comments I said in our last meeting was it had to be there.
Okay, now for layout wise, I still struggle with the concept of two entrances. We ought to direct the public into one entrance, and which to me also implies we take the workstations and the vestibule and move all that back to whatever direction that is right now, that would be
Just say right or left.
to the left.
Okay.
And have one main entrance, you get the public bathrooms there for people who need to drop a deuce, right? They can walk in there and enjoy the bathroom. You could open those bathrooms up for public festivals perhaps, because it's kind of isolated that way, you can kind of lock everything else up. And I just think that layout is just really just inefficient, I just don't like the layout at all, frankly, I just don't.
It's got a lot of walking space.
It does.
Can you show me what you mean?
You're looking at the wrong layout, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm thinking, open this wall up and let your entrance vestibule be here.
Okay.
Take all this stuff, like this vestibule, knock it out, don't need it, and just have more desk space this way.
Yeah, and close that door off, or have it be an emergency exit.
I mean, emergency
Yeah.
exit, right.
Yeah,
There's our lunchroom.
Well, I mean, you got,
Yeah,
you're looking
no,
at the old
no,
design though,
I-
but you get the
I-
idea, you get the idea, right?
What's
Yeah,
that?
no, that makes sense.
I can, yeah, so what are we saying?
You're
Or
right.
make it that size.
You're right.
Is for everybody?
Oh, I don't,
What we're talking about is basically,
Chalkboards, or the board here.
well, I can't draw that.
hold on a second, let me do this, let me do one thing, okay, so so I don't mess this up, stop. New slide, let me copy this.
Someone up, look over your shoulder here. I mean, what I'm saying is, this is a real nice entrance here. I think these walls are kind of weird. This ought to be your public entrance vestibule here, because then these public bathrooms are available. People can walk in this way as the main entrance. And then all this stuff, you blow this vestibule out, you don't need all these walls and stuff here. You got extra workspace here, and you have that staff area back in here, which is more secure and more protected. And then if you really wanted to, you could open these doors up for public use on a festival day, or you could put a couple external doors in here if you really wanted to, and then lock these up. That way people can use the restrooms out, going through the building.
We'd have to in my opinion, we'd have to reconfigure where the manager and assistant manager's office are, because if the public comes right in this way, they're gonna walk right into our office.
You'd have to move the offices somewhere else, like over here,
Flip them to this end?
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
you'd have to put maybe here or something like that.
I don't know, I just don't like the flow. I'm not
I
the
got you.
architect, I have no idea. I just don't like it.
I was
It's a very small
So
building.
the way to ask is like, okay, make it one entrance and make the public entrance closer to the new bathroom.
Right, yeah, and these would be, probably somehow maybe behind some kind of partition, so that, there'd be a service window or whatever here, right, that, maybe a door here, that the staff would work in, maybe in this area, a little bit over here, the the manager and assistant manager would go over here, we just change this a little
We
bit,
just
right?
flip
Flip
it.
it, yeah,
Taking this and moving it over here.
Yeah.
right. Something like that, I mean, that's what you're trying to say, I don't know, you just gotta draw it out, right?
And
I
then
don't know if I can draw it.
No, I can't, I was trying to do it.
No, to me, it just looks like just a really awkward layout. I really don't like the idea of people using the main entry and then going in there and going, hey, I need to use the bathroom, and then people walking either through the work area or up into that staff toilet.
Yeah.
It's just a weird,
We talked about that, it's just really, and
awkward.
if it's your work area, you've got your briefcase, a purse or whatever, and
Right.
it's coming in and out.
Yeah, you don't
Well,
want
you-
people walking through there unless they're.
You could free up this area, then we could get rid of that bathroom too, and now you have a,
That could
lunch
be the
area.
kitchen.
kitchen, yeah.
But I think it's,
I said that all the time.
I think you did.
I said that a long time ago.
You did.
But
I know he did, yeah, no,
I
yeah, it was his idea, right, I know.
I mean, the kitchen in the small conference room is a great idea too, you know, shrink that down. It's not real big, I don't know what the
Yeah,
dimensions
yeah,
are,
I
it's
got
like
the-
10 by
the
10
new
or
one,
something,
yeah.
which is not big.
Greg, do you have a nice to have the village manager and the assistant manager in close proximity?
I'm sorry, I don't think I heard you.
Do you, so those offices are kind of in close proximity, like you can go out the door and shower. Is that a nice to have for you or not doesn't matter?
Either way, doesn't
Either
matter.
way,
Yeah.
okay, so you've got the area you're working to reconfigure isn't quite a rectangle.
Right.
so-
Yeah, no, it's not a necessity at all.
Aren't we going to a unisex bathroom?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, in fact, when Vic was, I had approached Vic on that, I said, didn't the state law require that bathrooms are now unisex, and that one bathroom had to have a changing station in there, and he wrote something up on that and said, yes, you're
That
absolutely
makes
right.
sense.
What a dumb idea. Then I would like a toilet seat that goes down automatically.
Oh, no, he's gotta have a spray over.
Here we go. Here we go. Now it's on. Here we go.
All right, so the bathrooms, you still need probably 2 bathrooms, but they'll be whatever they are.
They'll
They'll
just
be
be,
unisex.
right.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah.
So anyway, we could rip this apart all we want, I guess, but really my ask would be the bins for storage for the,
I think Chris's ideas of moving this to one entrance has a lot of validity to it.
Yep.
With an emergency.
Sure.
I think you could really, I just think it needs a lot more thought. I agree, I think that long hallway is a waste of space. And, you beat me to the punch, Chris.
what if the door goes on the other side? I mean, if we're moving the barn anyway, you could run the sidewalk up to the side where the mechanical room is. I mean, I don't know, I have no idea what they're envisioning in terms of structure, like beams, and I have no idea how they're building that, right? So, I don't know. What if you put the entrance in where the mechanical room is from the right side of that drawing? Instead of parking lot, just put a sidewalk in. Does that free up your layout better?
But where does the parking go?
Well, the parking's still here, but you put a little sidewalk up to the side of the building. That's all.
Parking's still where it is.
This is just gonna go out this way?
This is, where your cars are parked like, right,
Yeah.
this way right now.
I mean, they stay right there.
Your building goes right here, that way.
Yeah, the parking lot stays exactly the same.
So, the whole addition.
But you're making room for 60 people.
Oh, I mean, as far as, yeah, I mean, we still have parking beyond here and then
Well, people can walk from the Kilder parking.
from the Kilder parking lot. And then we still have some space over here if we need to do some things too.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't exactly in a circle, but we sure weren't in a straight line.
Do we have a sense of what are musts and what are nices? The key would be you, because you're gonna have to be in
Anything's nice.
communication.
No, the necessities for us are the ability to have enough space to put the equipment necessary for our technology needs. I'm thinking about the future as well. Again, the boardroom, making sure that it accommodates, meetings through, video and audio, and so the public can hear it. Again, the staff has to have some place to escape, for breaks, or however that ends up looking.
Kitchen, break room.
Yeah, the shifting back, after I look at it, with the one entrance that's proposed, and this being an emergency type entrance, that can work. I think, because what we're doing is taking and just moving it out this way. The last municipality I served, it was one way in, same way. So it's, I don't think any of that is unreasonable, and I don't think it compromises anything that we find as needs for the staff. The restrooms are gonna make all the difference in the world. They truly are. And just the physical appearance as well, will, as you said, you want them to come in and be comfortable at work. When we walked Deer Park, they did leads. They did an exceptional job on how they, made sure they made use of every space that was in there. And it was open and it was bright and you felt comfortable. I mean, Ken,
Right.
you were there and,
Yeah.
and, I see us mimicking that and seeing a very happy staff as a result.
And then the building suits the environment,
It does.
Right.
you know.
The aesthetics.
It's a perfect
Right.
marriage of building and land.
Yes.
And to me, you know, I get the part about the guts, but when I picture a house, I usually picture the outside, then I fit the rooms in it, you know. I do, you know, it's, what is it,
Not
Tony?
supposed to laugh.
And the
You know,
Deer
is
Park
it-
building does fit the environment.
It absolutely does, it's the whole thing, you know.
Please take my laugh as not disrespectful.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it was.
No, it was like, it's fascinating how we all can come to this thing so differently, and isn't that a good thing, we're all here.
Well, and we're talking about light and a nice place to work, and if you look at where Greg's office is gonna be, he's gonna have no windows apart into a dark corridor facing west.
Yeah, and that's the pits.
That's the pit.
That's a closet. That's a
So
closet.
this whole reconfigure now then says that there's a little bit of outside available over there or over here that says, rather than giving that nice light to just the vestibule.
Right.
And why isn't there a window there?
There is a window right
There
here.
is.
It
Yeah,
is,
right
but
here.
it goes into a courtyard.
It's gonna be looking right behind this door.
Yeah, which is,
It's gonna be
which
the
is,
shadow
exactly,
of,
a lot of shade.
It's,
But it could, if you had a skylight, that would help.
You guys toured office buildings lately?
Pardon me?
Have you toured office buildings lately?
No.
You probably should.
Why? Oh, closet?
Spaces are totally different in a sense. They're very industrial, they're very compact. A 6x6 cubicle nowadays is big space,
Yes, but,
right? So we need to compare what we're doing here compared to the rest of the world too. Not just, I get it, we want a nice place for people to work, but on the other hand, we gotta be reasonable too. And work, it's not a vacation, it's not a house, it's work. You come here to work kind of thing, so you have to balance all that, I think.
I would argue though, like, we are particularly dependent on our staff because they are so small. So if that's a small trade-off to make, I'd be, in terms of like, this should be an attractive, this should be part of the benefit, their physical space.
and, you know,
Not fear,
I understand,
not
I
fear
just,
taking bicycles, but.
6x6 is a small walk-in
replaceable,
closet.
right? We know that.
Pardon?
Everybody's replaceable, there's a balance to it all. I know you, I read your post, I get it, trust me, but I think there's a balance to it, you know? 6x6 cubicles are a luxury nowadays.
That's the size of a walk-in closet.
Sorry?
It's the size of a small
But it's
walk-in.
reality, it's what we've got. I had to fight for 7x6, and that was like pushing corporate ladder, man. I got my 7x6s.
It's a village manager.
I think there's trade-offs. I think they also see very open ones, which drive people nuts because they can't work so well.
Right, well, that's the other thing I was talking, because having had a meeting with Natalie, there's phones ringing and everyone's on the phone with their own call. Is this open plan workable? I mean,
well, which
is
is,
that
the other engineering would be white noise that you bring in, so,
Yeah, that's.
and it muffles it out.
Generators in the ceiling, and
So that's, the architect will help with that stuff.
Do headsets help that, where you know?
They can, but I mean, still, you're gonna hear people talking, but it's the white noise you bring in, it drowns it out.
Well, they're cellular phones.
Yeah.
Sometimes you hear the guy all the way down to gate
Yeah.
K1, you know, it's like,
Here's the
I'll be
question.
quiet. What are we trying to accomplish
I
now?
don't know.
Where are we?
Do
Well,
we
yeah.
have a nice to have also that you mentioned, which is it a nice to have to be able to lock off so that the toilets are available during non-office hours?
I'm not.
Like a wall and a lock, I would assume, but, you know, is that a nice thing or just an idea?
How many people are gonna come
Yeah.
all the way back here to use the bathroom from down
But
here?
you'd be surprised at some of these events where people park here.
I
The
don't
turkey
have a
trot,
problem,
I've parked
but I
here,
heard it, I don't think I
Yeah.
think it's still legal.
but I don't know that I'd recommend opening it up, we don't have the staff.
You can't keep graffiti out of the tunnel. What are you gonna do if you open this up during festivals?
Yeah,
Not a problem, it's just, that got mentioned, so.
Yeah, I know.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
Check that out.
I'm
Okay.
not a big fan of that. For that reason.
so we have like 15 minutes left, or not even, right? So, what did we accomplish? Did we bring out some of the things that,
I think an internal reconfiguration off of,
Or
do
you
a
said-
single entry,
I mean,
certainly,
you get,
can have them look at that.
Yeah.
I guess the key question here is where we've kind of left things hanging a bit in the last meeting is, this is what we're doing, right? We're going to expand this village hall and
And the footprint will look something like this.
correct.
Could I ask, does the architect listen to this meeting?
He knew that we postponed the meeting, so I'm gonna assume that.
Well, did he listen to the last meeting?
I don't know about that, I have to ask.
Because whenever I've worked with an architect, it's always been important that they're physically there. That they're physically listening, that they're reading people and listening. So we've done all of this and you're going to filter what we've said. And I'm concerned that we're spending time that is being wasted because the architect doesn't know what we're saying or thinking. And we've got some throwaways in here. We've all had them. And maybe he needs to hear that from us. He needs to know who we are in order to get a better product. I would encourage him
To
or her to get on it and listen to it.
watch this recording.
Yeah, I think might learn something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea too, because it may be, the next discussion might be the architect coming back here saying, hey, I heard what you had to say, here's some thoughts. And that might just move us along, because we're kind of stuck right now, right?
Are we, what are we stuck on?
Well, I guess there's one, so first off, number one, the one question we still haven't answered, which Greg wanted to do we stay or do we go, right? Right, and so, this discussion right now assumes we stay and add on, right? So that's a question that has to be answered. But if we stay, this is kind of how this is what we sort of evolved to of the best way to probably fit this in there, meaning the barn would have to be moved, which is a whole fun thing. We had that whole discussion last meeting, but we have to make this all work, right, and figure it out. But is this like something you'd really want to do, or do you want to go?
I'd like to hear from the architect on Chris's idea of closing off one door. Is it reasonable? Is it safe? Is it economical? Those kinds of things that only an architect mostly can tell us.
Yeah.
So rather than wandering around, I'd like to get more specific.
So the architect knew that we were coming here? And
They-
didn't kind of say, can I be there?
Well, and he basically asked me, he said, what's the discussion about? And I said, I think it has to do with, are we looking to stay here and expand, or are we going to, and what will it look like if we expand? But I think that was more the bigger question, because when we left the last meeting, there was some uncertainties if we were gonna do a two-story build-up, if we were gonna do new construction, if we were going to expand on the existing building. And,
Maybe you should have listened to last meeting.
So,
That was a respectful laugh, but.
do we have viable options? Do we really have viable alternatives?
Viable is the key word,
well,
Yes, it is.
and probably no.
I sent out an email that, I went back when I had my conversation with Warren, asked them to put some numbers together, which, I sent out to the board members, back on I received it on the 18th, so I would have distributed it that following Monday. So it gives us a sense of what the costs are for construction, and that's without securing the property and without knowing some of the things related to water and sewer. The question is, where would we move? I started, looking at spaces in town and where we could potentially move. There is the one up on, 83 where the car wash was talked about, some time ago, on the north side of town. Fire department, we talked about that a little bit in previous, meetings. Fire department still needs to have their referenda approved. And I also started giving thought to the locations that the fire department was talking about moving to, which is, Aptekissick, just off Arlington Heights Road, where it's cut off over there, as well across the street by Ballybunion. But we don't know what prices of the property would be over there. We don't even know if there's a discussion on anybody wanting to sell any piece of it for sure or not. Those are just things that are being targeted by the fire department. So, location is a tough one. At, across from Harbor Chase.
Oh, and, Old 53 and Old McHenry.
By the crossings.
Across the street?
No, I didn't even think of that space.
But one thing that though, so the thing about starting from scratch, what was the projected cost? Because that was the big part of it, right?
$2 million.
$2 million.
But
1.6
that's
to 2.
4,300 square feet.
$2 million plus land.
Yeah, but we're gonna have, 80 plus 1,400, so whatever that ends at, what's the math there, 42, right? Yeah, 42, so it's same. We're gonna end up with, we're adding 2,800 and we're reusing 1,400, so,
It's the
same,
it's
yeah,
the same footage. Just not with a historic.
right.
And if we were to go somewhere else, what happens to this facility? That's a difficult question.
Community center.
Yes, I am more in favor of it, partly because, yes, the community center, but that's also then yet another building to maintain.
Right,
That we burden future budgets with.
ongoing costs forever.
We have to put in money, or we have to really seriously think about the problems that are gonna come of doing that, because I think, as Rita consistently said, when you have to always come across problems. So I just you have to be realistic about adding that 30%.
Yeah,
Please.
they are hard and fast numbers, correct. It's the beginning point. That's my experience with it.
I think I was probably one of the ones that was pushing to relocate, but I kind of circled back to, I think staying here is probably the best option.
If I'm hearing the board correctly, so we're going to, look at expansion, have a conversation with the architect, encourage him to, listen to the recent comments, if he hasn't listened to the previous meeting, to that one and this one. And then see if the, design option 2 that was presented this evening can be adjusted to meet the single entry perhaps, and shifting of the offices, and kind of let him, play with that a little bit.
Right, make better use, more efficient use of the space. And as a bonus, maybe we can shrink it a little if we're using space more efficiently. That may or may not happen, but.
I don't know that we need to shrink. What are you, is that?
No, I'm just saying, if we're not wasting space on hallways and a lot of open space, and we use that space more efficiently, maybe we'll need less total space if we're using the space we have more efficiently. That's a maybe.
Okay.
That's a bonus.
That's not important to me, because I think we'd just come out of the boardroom and it's really kind of,
And sometimes that's a perception issue where if the ceiling is a little bit higher, you have a perception of more space,
It feels more spacious,
even though, yeah.
Yep,
You know, like if it's an extra 13 inches or 14 inches. And actually, you could get more light in if it was raised 12 or 14 inches at the ceiling and you put like transoms around. That could give the perception of elbow room spaciousness. You know, I feel very strongly that the village manager should have a nice office, and maybe make the window in the front that's assistant manager, village manager, but it should be a nice place.
Them on the other side.
Period.
Oh,
Yeah, it should be something that says,
Put 'em in
this is the village manager's office, period, end of story, you know?
because it's good to have a window.
Well, not just that, but it should say that. I should know what room I'm in.
okay, so we're gonna, I'm trying to think of how we close this meeting out, right? Are we at a point where we can close it out? And then we have to start a new meeting. Do I stop the recording or keep it going, so it's in two different, there's people joining?
Stop.
What? Stop it and start it again. All the people that join, I'm gonna dump off, so.
Oh,
So I guess what I'll do is,
You can mute it and then adjourn the meeting,
Okay.
mute it, and then
So we're-
reconvene.
all right, so but we'll keep it in one long recording, or can Natalie, break it apart into two
Yeah.
things?
We'll figure it out.
Okay, all right, so we won't shut this recording down,
No
but we will close, go ahead.
Clarify, is
Yeah.
it unanimous choice that we move forward?
I'm in favor of moving forward with something like what we have in front of us.
Right.
Bobby.
Oh, I've always been over my dead body with, so I guess I'm still with.
And you're still here, so.
Ken, you're in that camp.
Right.
I think I just heard you said yes as well.
We got a choice of one. I'm not gonna vote no. You know, it's a choice of one.
Do you have some direction?
I do.
So I'm hearing, we're gonna have a floor plan that looks, a footprint that looks something like this, with a more efficient floor plan.
Okay, all right. So, we're gonna, close the meeting, right? Who wants to, make a motion? Okay, moved by trustee Micho, seconded by trustee Kritzmeyer.
Micho.
Aye.
Trustee Kritzmeyer.
Aye.
Trustee Borowski.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
Trustee O'Reilly.
Aye.
Trustee Tanucci.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Now, yes, and we're going to, start the next meeting, in 2 minutes, the board meeting. So I'm gonna,
Now we can all rush to our one bathroom.
yes, whatever you need to do.
It's across from the kitchen.
Looks like Craig got a head start.
Don't drop.
Don't make any errors.
All right, next meeting.
Stretch my leg.
Got one of Kevin's pages mixed up in mine. He's got a student.
Oh, my God.
How are you, young lady?
Same show, different answer.
Exactly.
I thought you left. I thought you left.
Well, they haven't kicked me out yet, so we'll see.
We just keep staying around.
Yeah, I was fortunate. Killed him, so I was very fortunate.
Yeah.
By the way, how,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
thanks for being here then. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're having a car show again. Hopefully you guys will
Oh,
support
yeah.
that and,
Oh, yeah. That's a good thing.
no-brainer.
You know,
Hey, how are you doing? Jeff, nice to meet you.
I just heard that.
Well, these days, I don't know. I just,
that's where I knew.
So as soon as we get, Kent back, we're gonna call the next meeting. to order. Yep, we just,
1987.
even our roads.
Yeah, yeah. We're not kids.
We're over 21, that's all I'm saying. How do you know Sheriff Arnold? Sheriff.
Hi, nice to meet you. So I was nice tonight.
Okay.
I was,
thanks for being here. We're just here.
and
For construction, once we get to construction, 10%.
bicycle
Oh, thank you, yeah. No, I'm, do it every year, so.
Ready?
No, can I call upon you to?
That's around here.
Absolutely, okay. Yeah.
Right?
All right.
Can be.
Good, sir.
Thank you, I will do that.
That's all right.
No, you're exactly
Yeah,
right.
it's right past them too. Yeah, I had to stop.
Construction project and renovation project, yeah.
You scare me.
All we need are wider.
Higher.
Like,
Chief, how are ya?
Either that or we all, we need somebody that makes reflect
You doing good?
statues that people can slap on their back.
Electric cars. I think you should say
Put the map, because I don't get to.
Yeah.
Okay, I've totally lost control.
At all. It's nice that you visit.
Ah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.